Yeah.
So anyway, that was 5 days ago. Since then, I've been eating fairly similarly. I mean, I really have. I've been having an apple every day. I've been having some sort of egg concoction for breakfast. Actually, I'm extremely grateful to one of my subscribers, 1968 MKR. Thank you so much. She gave me this suggestion to Google Paleo Cupcakes. And I did, and I made them, and I've been having them every single day for breakfast. It's basically an omelette recipe, just egg, whole ton of vegetables. But instead of cooking them as an omelette, you put them in little muffin cups, stick them in the oven, cook them, and then, you know, you've got these little cupcakes or muffins that are made of egg. They're basically like little omelets. And you can just stick them in your fridge, stick some in your freezer, and I've just woken up every day and had 2 of them for breakfast. So Google Paleo Cupcakes, because you can find lots of good recipes for them. Anyway, I'm incredibly grateful for that. It has made my life really easy this week. Saved me having to cook eggs every morning, cook vegetables every morning. I just pull out one of those, stick it in the oven for a couple of minutes to warm it up, eat it. Yum. I've been having most days just cooked up some veggies and a piece of fish for lunch, because I'm in the habit of doing that from P2. The only difference is I added 2 or 3 veggies instead of 1. My dinners have tended to be mainly just a piece of fish again, or I had tofu one night, which was yummy. I'm a very basic cook. Let's just put that on the record. I'm a very basic cook. I'm not even a cook. Let's not even call me a cook. Like, for example, I would never invite someone over to dinner and give them food I'd cooked, because cook. I can produce meals, but I would never inflict them on anyone other than me. Like, they're very basic. My only criteria for cooking is that it's supremely healthy. I don't really care how it looks at all. I don't even really care how it tastes, because I'm so used to eating plain vegetables that I don't really crave salt and herbs and flavoring. So I cook really plain, simple food. I'm extremely lucky that my partner Alan is exactly the same as me. I mean, we honestly, a staple dinner for us is like 2 poached eggs and some steamed broccoli and zucchini, you know, or some quinoa boiled in a pot and served with 2 or 3 steamed vegetables with a bit of garlic. Like, that's classic vintage dinners at our house, you know, or a big raw salad or a plain raw soup. So when I say, you know, I've been cooking dinners, I say that very loosely. They're very basic, very basic. But what is amazing is I have been doing a little bit of baking. This is unprecedented. But the reason is because I know that I need to have something a little bit like dessert. So a few nights ago, I turned into what we call the little wifey. It's a running joke in our house because I'm very famous amongst my friends for being hopeless at cooking and cleaning anything remotely wife-like. But since I've been with Alan, I have turned a little bit into a little wifey. Because I do make food for him all the time. As I said, I would never inflict it on anyone else, but I do make it for him. So anyway, I had this night, which was my big wifey night. It was absolutely hilarious. I was simultaneously preparing a million things for my dehydrator, because we've just bought this dehydrator. I've never used it before. So in the one night, I made about 5 different concoctions for the dehydrator, stuff that I'd researched on the internet that would fit in with the things I'm allowed to eat after the dowsing we did. I made like some dehydrated crackers, and I'm not really allowed kale, doesn't suit me, so I tried to turn kale recipes into silver beet chips instead of kale, and I made these little zucchini chips, which didn't turn out very well, but whatever. So I was pretty happy with that. The same night, I also was making my PB2 peanut delight as well, so that was a big night of experimenting. And then last night, I had another big wifey night. Again, remember, this is like extremely rare for me. Like, maybe once a year I have a wifey night where I like bake stuff and cook stuff. My father thinks it's hilarious. I sent him pictures of what I made and he's still laughing. Anyway, so I had looked on the internet for all these kind of P3 low-carb friendly desserts and tried to find ones that use mainly peanut butter, because a lot of the other nuts I can't have. trying to find ones that use things that I can eat, that we doused. Anyway, I ended up making a few amazing things. So I've already made the egg cupcakes, I've already made the dehydrated things, and now I made this raw chocolate fudge. It does use cocoa, which I'm not supposed to have, and almonds, which isn't that good for me, but bugger, I just wanted to try it. So it's kind of like a raw fudge. And then I made a very similar recipe, but it's a cooked version, and it turns the exact same ingredients into brownies. You simply add an egg and some baking powder, and it turns from a raw fudge into a brownie, and that was basically Lynn's CC01's recipe, but it had the exact same ingredients as the fudge, which was weird. Anyway, so I've got one raw fudge and one cooked chocolate brownies. Both worked out quite good, actually, quite yummy. Then I made these peanut butter cookies, which I added a whole lot of protein powder to, just to change the recipe because I thought it would be better to have protein in it. And then I also made this coconut flour bread that I saw on a P3 video somewhere. And look, it wasn't the greatest because I didn't actually at the time realize that I actually had a bag of xylitol in the back of my cupboard that I'd bought about a year ago. And so I didn't really have a sweetener to put in. I put a little bit of stevia powder in, but it was too bitter. And when I took out the coconut flour bread, it looks beautiful, but it tastes a bit bitter. About half an hour later, when I was in the middle of my Wifey Bake-a-thon, I discovered said packet of xylitol in the back of my cupboard. And then I was very excited and I used it for all the other recipes. So anyway, my Bake-a-thon was a big success because today I had a little bit piece of the coconut bread with a little bit of cream cheese on it. And last night I had a little bit of the other things, peanut cookie and stuff, and I also had a bit of the fudge, and I had a tiny bit of a taste of the brownies, and you know, because while you're cooking, you're tasting it all to see what that's like. So anyway, I ingested so many calories last night in cooking, and then at the end of it all, I was feeling sick from how much fat I'd had, so I had to have another green apple at about midnight just to cleanse my palate and alkaline my system a little bit. So when I woke up this morning, I was like, God, yesterday was a high calorie day. So it added up to like 1,500 calories. Admittedly, I was on my first day of Tom yesterday, which is probably why I was wanting to eat so much. But anyway, I woke up this morning, second day of Tom, my heaviest day of Tom. You know, I'd eaten 1,500 calories yesterday and a lot of it was fat. I knew my weight would be up today because on Tom my weight's always up, let alone the amount of calories I ate. And I'm not making this up. This morning, I was 65.1. So I'm feeling incredibly happy with how everything's going on phase 3. I have had Tom the last 2 days, feeling ooky, having cramps, yuck, yuck, yuck. Obviously had the urge to eat a bit more sort of high-fat, indulgency foods. Luckily I baked those things. I'm feeling a little bit sad though because I think it's really good to talk about this with you guys actually. I've been doing this research for a novel I'm writing. As some of you know, I'm writing a novel at the moment, and there's a character in it who's a young girl and she's very obese and she comes from a very mainstream society. The story is about the mother, and it's about the mother's journey of awakening from being a very mainstream person, buying into all the cultural bullshit, to someone who by the end of the novel can really think for herself. But anyway, part of her journey is around her daughter who's very obese, and the doctors in my novel are advising this woman that her daughter should have gastric surgery. In order to write these opening scenes, I've had to do all this research into teenage obesity and all this research into teenage surgeries, and I'm just absolutely horrified. I was almost in tears this afternoon reading about teenagers and children who are having gastric bypass surgery and lap band surgery, and that surgery where their stomachs get shrunk down to the size of an egg so they can never eat much food again. Now, my heart was breaking reading about this, thinking, why don't they know about HCG, these people? I mean, my God, if parents knew that they could just put their children on a 500-calorie diet and give them injections for a couple of months, you know, and over the course of a year that their obesity would be gone, they would never do this terrible invasive surgery, which quite frankly I think is criminal to perform on a child, because you're setting them up for the next 60 or 70 years to hardly be able to eat proper meals, and how are they going to get nutrition? So I'm feeling really passionate at the moment, having done that research about HCG. It's especially combining that with how effective my phase 3 is going, you know, with me being able to eat so much and not have to count calories and feeling so free and stabilizing so easily, it just shows me this protocol is miraculous, as you all know who are doing it. And yet there are people out there doing barbaric things to get their weight off. And I just feel a real obligation to tell people about HCG, and I certainly will. As you guys know, I'm someone very comfortable in front of the camera. I do a lot of mentoring and teaching around the world about many topics. You know, I'm used to speaking in front of large audiences. And I suspect that the time will come where I will start, once I'm further along in my HCG journey and I've kept the weight off for a year or so, I suspect I will start speaking publicly about it in forums and on stage, and when I'm speaking about other topics in the personal growth world. So you can trust that I will be getting this message out there as time goes by, but I definitely need to wait until I'm a walking, living proof that it works. And that's certainly not going to be obvious for the next 6 to 12 months. I'm saddened that this information has been kept from people, but we all know why, and I've talked about it before, and we all know why. It's not in the interests of the medical profession for this to get out there, but I just felt so incredibly blessed that I found it. I know you guys all feel incredibly blessed too that you found it. And, you know, you may some days feel that it's hard. You may want to cheat. But I've got to tell you, if you compare it to the alternatives, exercising like a crazy person for 5 or 6 hours a day like they do on The Biggest Loser, have you seen what those people put themselves through to lose weight? It's totally not sustainable. And then on the other hand, you've got people having barbaric surgeries, cutting their stomach open, destroying their digestive tracts in order to lose weight. You know, so you've got extreme exercise, you've got extreme starvation diets, you've got extreme barbaric surgeries, and then on the other hand, you've got HCG. So if you're tempted to cheat, just remind yourself of what the alternatives are and how incredibly blessed you are to have found this very easy alternative, because quite frankly, it is easy. There's really not that many rules, and if you find yourself wanting to cheat, it's not because you're hungry, because the hormone, HCG hormone, is keeping you full. So if you're finding yourself having the urge to cheat, I see that as a wonderful opportunity, because it's nothing to do with food, because you're not hungry. So if you're feeling the urge to cheat, you know there's something emotional up for you in that moment. There's some thought you're having that's triggering the urge to eat, or there's some feeling you're having that's triggering the urge to eat. So if you're feeling the urge to eat, it's an opportunity to uncover a triggering thought or a triggering feeling. So become a detective. Each time you feel the urge to cheat on phase 2 or phase 3, say to yourself, okay, what thought am I having right now? Or what am I feeling right now? So maybe you're feeling alone or lonely or depressed or frustrated in your life or excited even. You know, there's all sorts of feelings that trigger eating. Or maybe you're having the thought, no one loves me, I'm worthless, this is hard, or, you know, I'm ugly. Doesn't matter what the thought is or what the feeling is, just discover what it is, identify it. And then, once you notice it, you can do something about it. So if you're feeling lonely, call a friend. If you're feeling crap about yourself, think about all the things that you're good at. You know, if you're feeling unloved, think about the people who love you. You know, if you're feeling depressed, do something to cheer you up. Play with a kitten, listen to some happy music, go for a walk. You know, once you identify what the thing is, it's very easy to fix it or address it. And the thing is, the next time you have that thought or that feeling, you won't reach for food because it will have been exposed. Once we've exposed these programs, they don't tend to run under the radar anymore. So that's the biggest thing I can say to you guys. If you're feeling the urge to cheat, firstly, just remember that you're blessed to be doing this protocol, that it does work, and that it's 1,000,000 times better than any other option out there. So instead of feeling deprived and wishing you could have something, feel really grateful that you've discovered it. And then look at what is really going on that's causing you to want to cheat. Because it's not hunger, it's really not deprivation. It's something else. It's a thought or it's a feeling. So take the opportunity to investigate that and then find another way to address it. So anyway, that's my little personal growthy bit for the vlog. So I'm having a big birthday party on the weekend in about 3 days. One of the reasons I did the big massive Bake-a-thon was so I'd have a whole lot of snacks in the fridge for myself, because the house is going to be full of normal junk food and cakes and meals. Everyone's bringing potluck dishes. It's going to be filled with chocolates and candies and lollies and all sorts of stuff. I'm not going to eat any of it. I'm going to have my own little secret stash in the fridge of my own P3 friendly desserts, and I'm going to bake a few more as well, and in my freezer, little chocolate delights and stuff. So wish me luck for that. I will do a vlog after the party. I'll show you my hilarious costume that I've hired, which is no way in the world I would have worn before doing HCG because I would have been way too fat. Stay tuned because I'll show you pictures in a few days. Alright guys, I'll speak to you soon. Bye!